My girlfriend left me for the first guy in a long time because we are not in the same league. After a month, she was begging me to come back to her. I opened my front door, and there she was, my ex-girlfriend, the one who left me for a richer guy, standing there like nothing had happened. Before I could say a word, she threw her arms around me and whispered, "I knew you'd wait for me." A month ago, she told me I wasn't in her league. Now, she was back, begging. And the best part, I met her a little over a year ago. At first, everything seemed fine, but problems started early. She always wanted more expensive dates, more gifts, more signs that I could provide the lifestyle she expected. I wasn't struggling, but I wasn't reckless with money either. I was working on a startup with my cousin, saving for the future. She didn't care about the future, only what I could give her right now. She grew frustrated when I didn't meet her expectations. She compared our relationship to others, pointing out what they had that she didn't. It wasn't about feelings or connection, it was about status. Later, I found out she had initially wanted my cousin, who came from a wealthy family. When that didn't work out, she settled for me, assuming I would eventually reach that level. The breakup happened when she met someone who already had what she wanted. We were out with friends when a man arrived in an expensive sports car. She immediately shifted her attention to him. She made no effort to hide it, openly engaging with him like I wasn't even there. It was clear she had already decided to leave before walking away with him. She made sure to let me know that I wasn't in her league, that I would never find someone like her. She was convinced she had upgraded. She had no idea how wrong she was. After she left, I wasn't upset. I already knew what kind of person she was, and her decision only confirmed it. She thought she had moved up, but she had no idea what I had been working on. I had never told her about the details of my startup. She assumed I was just another guy with a dream that would never take off. But the reality was different. My cousin and I had spent months securing investors, developing the business, and preparing for launch. A few weeks after she left, the startup made its first major breakthrough. Clients started coming in, and the first big payment hit my account. While I was focused on building something real, she was dealing with the reality of her choice. The man she left me for wasn't what she expected. He had money, but that was all he had. He was controlling, arrogant, and didn't treat her like she imagined. It wasn't long before she realized she had traded one problem for another. She started noticing my success. Mutual friends talked about how my business was growing. She saw the changes on social media, new opportunities, new people in my life, everything moving forward without her. Then, one day, she showed up at my door. A month after she left, she came back. I hadn't thought about her much since she walked away, but there she was, standing outside my door like nothing had happened. The moment I opened it, she threw her arms around me, acting as if she had never left. There was no hesitation, no embarrassment, just confidence, like she was picking up exactly where we had left off. She didn't bring up the fact that she had dumped me for someone else. She didn't mention the way she had humiliated me or how certain she had been that I wasn't in her league. Instead, she spoke casually, assuming I had been waiting for her. She said she was back, like that was all that mattered. There was no apology, no explanation, just an expectation that I would take her in without question. That I barely responded before she started talking about how much she had missed me. She made it sound like she had just been away for a short trip, like we had taken a break that was now over. The way she spoke, it was clear she believed I had been miserable without her, that I had spent the past month regretting losing her. She thought she was doing me a favor by coming back. I stepped back and told her to leave, but she laughed like I was joking. She waved off my reaction, telling me to stop pretending to be mad. She said it was understandable that I was upset, but that I'd get over it soon. She acted like she was giving me a second chance, like I was the lucky one in this situation. She had no idea that I wasn't the same person she had left behind. I told her again to leave, this time more firmly. That's when her attitude changed. She went from amused to irritated, like she couldn't believe I was rejecting her. She started asking if I was seeing someone else, if I was holding on to a grudge for no reason. She told me to stop being dramatic, that what happened between us wasn't a big deal. When I didn't react, she scoffed and told me I was making a mistake. She said I would never find someone like her again. She called me stubborn, ungrateful, and naive for thinking I could do better. But I didn't argue. I didn't explain anything. I just stood there, waiting for her to realize she had no power over me anymore. Eventually, she turned and walked away, but it wasn't over. She wasn't the type to accept rejection easily. After I shut the door in her face, I assumed she would move on. She had left me once without hesitation, so I figured she would do the same now that she realized I wasn't interested. I was wrong. She started showing up everywhere. Places she had never gone before, places I had never even taken her to when we were together. She suddenly had a reason to be at my favorite coffee shop in the morning, at the gym I had been going to for years, even at events where she had no connection. She made sure I saw her, made sure to act like we were still on good terms, like we were just going through some temporary rough patch. At first, I ignored her. I thought if I didn't respond, she would get bored and move on. But then, the messages started. She messaged me on every platform she could find, acting like nothing had happened. She sent casual texts, inside jokes from when we were together, random updates about her day, as if we were still a couple. When I didn't respond, she tried a different approach, long messages about how she had made a mistake, how she had been confused, how she had only left because she was scared of the future. She claimed she had been blinded by the idea of wealth and security, but that she now realized what really mattered that I didn't reply. That's when she got desperate. She started messaging every woman who followed me on social media. Anytime I got a new follower, she would send them a private message, warning them to stay away from me. She told them we were still together, that I was playing games, that I always came back to her. Some of them blocked her immediately. Others sent me screenshots, confused as to why a random woman was claiming ownership over me. When that didn't work, she tried to get to me through my family. She reached out to my mother, pretending to be concerned about me. She told her I was making reckless choices, that I was pushing away the one person who truly cared about me. My mom didn't fall for it. She knew the truth and told her to stay out of my life. That didn't stop her. She tried showing up at my cousin's workplace, the one she originally had her sights on. She told him she wanted to make amends, that she wanted to clear the air so we could all be friends again. He wasn't interested. He shut her down immediately, telling her she had no place in my life anymore. She wasn't getting the message. For weeks, she kept trying, hoping I would slip up, hoping I would let my guard down. But I didn't. I had already moved on, and nothing she did could change that. Eventually, she realized she wasn't winning. She backed off, but only slightly. She stopped showing up at places I frequented, stopped messaging my friends and family, but she never fully disappeared. Every few weeks, I would get a message. It was always something short, a simple miss you, or thinking about you, or sometimes just an emoji. She was waiting, hoping for a moment of weakness, hoping that someday I would respond, but I never did. Even after months of ignoring her, she didn't let go completely. The random messages continued, sometimes weeks apart, sometimes months. It was clear she was waiting for an opening, hoping that if she stayed in the background long enough, I would eventually let her back in. She stopped being obvious about it, but she never fully disappeared. Whenever I posted anything on social media, she was always one of the first to view it. If a woman commented on my posts, she would immediately check their profile. Sometimes, she would even make her presence known by liking or reacting to old pictures of us together, as if she was trying to remind me that she was still there. Then, I started hearing from people I barely knew. Women I had recently followed or interacted with online would message me, asking if I had a girlfriend. When I told them no, they would send me screenshots. She was still messaging them, telling them to stay away from me. The messages weren't as aggressive as before, but they all followed the same theme. She was claiming that we had a complicated relationship, that we were still in contact, that she was just trying to protect them from getting hurt. She wanted to make it seem like she was still relevant in my life, that IT didn't stop at social media. She tried running into me accidentally a few times. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but then I noticed a pattern. She would always be near places I had checked into, appearing at bars, restaurants, or events that I had only mentioned briefly online. She never approached me directly, but she made sure I saw her. She wanted to be in my space, reminding me that she was still around at one point. She even tried to get close to my mother again. She showed up at her church, acting as if she had just rediscovered her faith. She started talking to mutual acquaintances, making sure my name came up in conversations. She wanted to create a connection, to make it seem like she still had a place in my world that I never confronted her. I didn't need to. She wasn't a threat. She was just desperate. But the fact that she kept trying, even after so much time had passed, showed me one thing. She never actually loved me. She just hated the idea of losing time past, and she slowly faded into the background, but she never fully disappeared. Every month or so, I would still get a message, short, meaningless attempts to remind me she existed. Most of them were generic, like hope you're doing well, or I was thinking about you today. Other times, they were more calculated, referencing an inside joke from our relationship or a place we had been together. It was obvious she was testing the waters, waiting to see if I would finally respond, that I never did. Then, one night, she made one last desperate move. I had started dating again. It wasn't serious yet, but I had met someone new, and things were going well. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was with someone who actually liked me for who I was. Not for what I could offer, not for what I could become, but for me. I didn't post much about my personal life, but my new girlfriend had tagged me in a picture. It was nothing dramatic, just a casual post of us at dinner. Less than an hour later, my ex sent me a long message. She started by saying she had been thinking about us a lot lately. She claimed she had changed, that she had made mistakes but had grown from them. She said she still loved me, that she had always loved me, and that she knew now more than ever that we were meant to be together. She admitted that leaving me was a mistake, but she tried to justify it. She claimed she had only been chasing security, that she had been afraid of an uncertain future. She said she had never truly been happy with the man she left me for, that she had realized too late that money didn't mean anything without love. Then she brought up my new relationship. She told me she had seen the picture. She tried to downplay it, saying she wasn't jealous, just concerned. She implied that I was rushing into something meaningless, that I was only dating someone new to fill the void she had left. She wanted me to believe that what I had with my new girlfriend wasn't real, that it was just a distraction. She ended by asking me to meet her in person. She said she just wanted to talk, to get closure, to see if there was still something between us. She didn't outright say it, but it was clear what she wanted. One last chance that I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked her on everything that I had let her linger in the background for too long, allowing her to believe that if she just waited long enough, she could come back. But there was nothing left for her here. Whatever fantasy she had about us getting back together was over after I blocked her. Everything went quiet. No more messages, no more sudden appearances, no more desperate attempts to stay in my life. For the first time since she had left, it seemed like she had finally accepted reality that I moved on completely. My business was growing, my personal life was better than ever, and I didn't waste a single thought on her anymore. Months passed without a single trace of her presence. Then, out of nowhere, I got a call from an unknown number that I didn't answer. I had no reason to. But a few minutes later, a notification popped up, a voicemail. Curiosity got the best of me, so I played it was her. She didn't sound angry or desperate. Instead, her voice was calm, almost too casual, as if we had spoken just yesterday. She told me she hoped I was doing well, that she had been thinking about me. She mentioned how she had driven past a place we used to go to together and how it brought back memories. Then, she ended the message with a simple, "Maybe we could catch up sometime." I deleted it without responding. That was over a year ago. Since then, she still tries, just once a month, like clockwork. A random message, a missed call, a follow request from a new account after I had blocked the last one. She never says anything dramatic anymore, never makes any big declarations. Just small, subtle attempts to remind me she's still there, that I don't acknowledge them. I don't need to. She isn't a part of my life anymore, and she never will be again, but she still hasn't fully let go.